What does jumping out of airplanes have to do with dental marketing? I'm so thrilled to be talking with Matt Brown, co-founder of the Energize Group. We're going to get to what he does in the dental space in a minute, but I wanted to welcome you to Talking Nachos, Matt. And you have an amazing story, but let's start with the airplane part. Tell the Nacho audience about jumping out of airplanes.
I spent 7 years on Fort Bragg, and I spent a portion of it as a paratrooper jumping out of airplanes in the middle of the night. And I had 2 parachute accidents in 2010.
Yeah.
One, I came down, I hit the side of an ambulance. And then the other one, I had a midair collision with another jumper. I got his parachute wrapped around me. I fell about 800 feet, broke my back in 2 places, was in a brain injury clinic for 90 days, had 2 brain injuries. And I actually came back from that and kept serving after that. Yeah, I came back from that, actually kept serving, and went to another specialized unit doing surveillance work. But I came back from that and kept serving. But jumping out of airplanes, it's crazy. The kind of jumping I did was the lowest altitude you can jump from, borderline safely. So I jumped from like 1,200 to 800 feet, which is not very far. So it was 10 seconds door to ground. If I didn't have a parachute, it's a little bit longer, but it's pretty fast.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm going to ask this question with equal parts admiration, equal parts thinking that you're crazy. So you hit a side of an ambulance. You didn't stop jumping out of airplanes.
No.
You were in the brain injury clinic. What got you to retire from jumping out of airplanes?
It wasn't my choice. So I went to this other unit. It's called LRS, Long Range Surveillance Teams. I actually kind of tried out to go to like the higher end special operations units, but I couldn't pass a language test. So I went to this unit where you didn't need a language. And I went through like a small little selection process. It was up in Maryland. And when I did my periodic health assessment at the end of that year, when they were assigning me to my team, the doc said, "You have a double fracture back. You're not jumping anymore. We're going to retire you." And I'm like, "Really?" He's like, "Yeah, we're putting you out. You're done, man." And I was upset because I worked pretty hard to get to where I was and to recover. And I was like, "What does that mean? Like, we're going to give you like 100% of your pay for life." I was like, "So I can live on the beach and do whatever I want?" And they're like, "Yeah." I'm like, "Yeah, I'm okay with that."
Okay, well, that was a good way to sweeten that deal. And then, we're going to get into how you became a dental marketer, but you also did stuff with fighting and jujitsu, or you opened a school. What inspired you to do that?
Yeah, so my favorite time in the military, I was a hand-to-hand combat instructor. There's 2 programs on Fort Bragg. One's called MACP, which is Military Army Combatives Program, and I was a full-time instructor there. Then there's one called SOCP, which is a Special Operations Program, and I got certified to do that, which is kind of rare. It's real hard to do. And my favorite time was teaching those guys how to protect themselves and fight and be unarmed. And then when I got out of the military, I taught Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. I'm a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt. And I lived at the beach, and those 2 things kind of go together with Brazilian culture. And I just decided this is what I'm doing. I thought the rest of my life until dental kind of hijacked my life. I didn't choose dental. Dental kind of chose me.
Now catch us up this. So you do all these things. You say, you know what? I want to deal with the most difficult people on the planet.
Dentists are hard, man. Dentists are hard, dude.
Yeah. We're not, but sometimes, Matt, people poke you. So I'm a dentist, right? Right now I'm doing 1 day a week. I have multiple practices, but the only way I can do these other things is to hire these awesome associates. I know how to replace myself as a dentist. I don't know how to replace myself as someone who does some of these other things. But dentists say, "Oh, Paul, you're so lucky. You don't have to like do as many class 2 composites." I go, "Would you want you as a customer?" They go, "Oh, good point." Right. Because I will take a patient as a customer any day in terms of sanity over dentists. So now something pretty cool happened with one of my favorite people, Dr. Andrew Vallow. So on January 1st, he posted his goals. He shared about his numbers, and he's just amazing, Andrew. I'm a huge fan of him. I know he's a huge fan of Nachos. I hope they're tagging him. And he said, "I've used this marketing group that's helped me grow," right? So you've helped Andrew grow. So you're helping one of our top dentists, but bring us from getting into marketing to meeting Andrew Vallow. Then we'll go Andrew Vallow.
Yeah, so pretty crazy. When I was growing my martial arts school and that business, I grew up pretty rapidly, and I caught a lot of attention in the industry. I'm pretty good at sales. I mean, I have an pretty outward personality. I got a business partner named Ryan Raybould. He's a former commercial banker and a finance guy, and he started helping me grow that business. And one day I was out wakeboarding with my uncle, who's a dentist. He's one of my favorite dentists. And his passion is high anxiety dental patients and make them comfortable. He's an IV sedation dentist. And he kind of like asked me for help marketing his practice. I don't know anything about teeth. And then I helped him. And then I'm also Mormon. I'm LDS, which is something I'm proud of. And it's pretty big in dental. And then one of my buddies, who I go to church with, was like, "Hey, can you help me?" And I was like, "Sure." and then a consulting firm contacted me, and we started working with somebody, and it kind of just happened. Like, it was never like we never planned it. Like, me and
Yeah.
Ryan, we were designing a program similar for the martial arts space, and we're designing consulting and stuff over there, and it just happened. I was sitting down at the dinner table, we were working on some stuff, and I was like, let's just go to dental. Like, we have these two clients that are doing awesome, and this consulting firm that's talking to us who wants us to help them with their clients. Let's just throw away martial arts and do dental.
I mean,
Hey,
you kind of just, if I can, I would tell my wife I don't interrupt, I interject with good ideas. But since I am the only dentist on this call here, what I can share in a positive way about dental people is we don't get any business training. Marketing is talked about in this weird negative way in dental school, which is nonsensical. Because if you want to help people chew and smile with confidence, I don't know if I'm a genius, they have to first come to your office, right? You're not doing that much dentistry on the street. So to me, it's nuts that they don't at least introduce in dental school how marketing is the glue that gets people into your office. But you have served a purpose because you got dentists that produce, dentists run, and Roger Levin tells this, they're the CEO of $1 million businesses. They don't necessarily make $1 million a year, but they're businesses, and I run some, bringing in $300,000 and making $125,000 is easier than bringing in 1.5 million and making 300, because processing all of this money is attached to patients. So you got dentists who have businesses that bring in 7 figures, don't know anything about business, want to help people. So I feel like this is where you came in to the equation for them.
It is. It's so funny you said that. It's nonsensical that in dental school they talk negatively about marketing. What else is nonsensical is that the dental boards have these rules they impose on marketing, and they don't understand marketing. I have to navigate these rules in every state. And honestly, if you have a marketer that doesn't know your state's regulations for the dental ethics code for your state, you're asking to get in trouble, because eventually one of your competitors is going to turn you in for being aggressive. We're really funny. Like, I went through and read all the codes for all the states for dental marketing. I was surprised that the dental board is invoking these rules. They don't know what they're talking about. And going back to, dentists, there's a couple fundamental challenges they have, especially in the startup space. First of all, they said you get no business training, and 90% of you become business owners. You're all also, don't get this the wrong way, 70% of your class, 80% of your class are introverts. And now we're putting people in their chair who have dental anxiety, and they have to help get them over it and transfer emotion to them that they're the right choice. And they're an introvert who can't transfer emotion, right?
And this is what I also want to say. I'm just interjecting because you said an important part. I say to dental school, you should talk to dentists about what it's like to run a practice. You know what people 100%. Say? Not everybody buys a practice, but let's say 8 out of 10 do. So let's just use this comparison. If 10 people were in a room and we talked about how to raise children, and 8 of them were going to raise children, well, why don't you start teaching them about it? The other 2 learn anyway because they work in these practices. So it's so irresponsible to me of dental schools to not at least introduce these. You know about nutrition, you know about exercise, to introduce these fundamental ways to survive in this business world. And I'm glad you brought this up, but it just brings me on these rants of most dentists want to own a practice. And then watch this, Matt. All dentists, or 95% of dentists, work in some sort of practice, so they need to know how that runs. So I'll turn it back to you, but I appreciate you.
So it's funny, me and Ryan spend a lot of time on this subject, and we talk about, it's probably like, I talk about business partner probably 10 times a day, and this is probably 30% of our conversations is about this subject. One part of it that's really interesting to me is we do a lot of startups. We've been lucky enough to connect to the guys at Ideal, Stacy and Steven, and those guys are just smart people. We love working with them. Those MBAs, they're female dental warriors. They're great. Yeah. And we do a lot of their startups, and not all of them. We do an okay amount, and we really like it. The ones that are a good match for us. And what's really interesting is when docs go from being an associate to owning a practice, there's an op tempo change that no one talks about. And I want to explain it. When you're an associate, you have a lead doc, and you're coming in every morning in the morning huddle, and all this work's piled up for you, and you're doing all this work. And it's all existing patients. And then you're doing a startup, you're building the practice, and then all of a sudden you start handling patients, and it's consults. And consults are endless first dates.
Yeah, yes.
Right? So the op tempo goes from drill and fill, pull teeth, do crowns, right? To, hey, I have to meet you, make you like me, and choose me as your dental home. Well, the emotional toll of those two things are very different. One's very robotic and repetitive, and the other one is very emotional, and you have to navigate humans. And being an introvert, the second one is an incredibly exhausting thing. And one thing I'll deal with a dentist, and they'll be a month into owning the practice, and they did 80 consults that month. And I'm like, how are you doing? They're like shot out. I'm like, what's wrong? They're like, I've never done so many consults. The op tempo, it's horrible. And I'm like, yeah, for the next year, you're gonna go on
Yeah.
endless first dates to build your practice. It's not just they come in and say yes. And it's whenever I say endless first dates, it clicks.
And I want to
never
jump in
thought
for a
about
second.
this.
Your point is right. So I put up my Dentist Job Connect logo. Dr. Andrew was a client. So one of the things that I do consults on with my team is how people can purchase a Dentist Job Connect advertisement to find an associate. Now, I work with dentists and people can complain about any product, but they want what we're selling, right? They want it. They say, hey, Paul and your team, I need an associate. I want more time off. So I just want to frame this as the customer wants the associate. They might complain that there aren't enough candidates. They might complain they don't have enough skills. But imagine being us, Matt, and we are selling things the person does not want all day long. So not only are these tough first date consults tough, we're also discussing something that people really don't want to get. So it sets us up really behind the eight ball.
I think you're also looking at it from the wrong mindset, though, when you say they don't want it. I want to explain, you guys as dentists have two unique business conditions in America, and no one talks about this. The first unique business condition is this: every person needs you. It's a target-rich environment.
Oh, yeah.
Dentists have a scarcity mindset. There's only so much pie. Oh, there's lots of pie. It's just there's a pie like
we're on the same page. It's a need for sure.
It's a need, right?
And they need the results, but the process to go through those results of sitting in the chair is often one that it's just the emotional energy that I do a lot of those consults like Andrew does. And you have to prepare yourself for it. When you do it well, it goes well, but I'm on board with your thoughts that it messes up.
It's a need, but where the other unique condition is you have an amazingly good resistance barrier called fear. Fear is a very controlling force, right? So if they make it to the chair, there's one thing you can tell yourself for sure to be confident in dealing with that person is they're motivated. No one goes to a dental practice for fun and entertainment. It doesn't happen. If they make it there, it's good. And part of what has to happen is a good new patient experience that makes them say yes. Everything from the greeting to checkout has to go a very good way. And the analogy I like to use is I have a fear of heights after my parachute accidents. I don't like heights. If you had a fear of heights and me and you went to a roller coaster park and we went through the zigzaggy line and got to the front and the roller coaster operator said, hey, we're shutting down the ride to fix it. We'll let you on in a minute. You wouldn't want to go on the ride.
Yeah.
Well, if one thing goes wrong in that new patient experience, they can decide to not accept treatment before they ever meet you. And one thing, I was in a practice one time and we like to teach a concept called on stage and off stage with our marketing.
Disney.
And it's exactly Disney. It's exactly where it's from. And you're at the front desk, you can't be talking about how hard it was to get someone to stop bleeding. People are waiting right there to go in, right? And we have to make sure that the patient experience is good. Now, if they make it to the chair and they're in a good mood, right, you should draw confidence from they overcame fear and they're in the chair. Now it's just a matter of not if we do treatment, it's just how we do treatment now. And I believe in speaking about it as if assuming it's going to happen, not an if, but how we're doing it, because they made it there.
You made me think of something. Someone said this to me the other day about, I love the Disney way, on stage, off stage, things like that. Also, when you get to an interview early as an associate, listen to what the front desk team is sharing, because they're going to be a reflection of you. And one thing you could do is schedule a cleaning visit yourself in the office, even offer to pay for it. The dentist will be proud of it. Like, I'd be proud to have an associate go through our hygiene process, but you're going to work in this practice and there's no better way to really see what happens than to kind of taste test the food yourself.
So it's funny you said that, because I am known to secret shop my practices that have never met me.
Yeah, that's great.
So what I do is I make myself look a little bit unattractive. I come in a torn hoodie and I have my wheelchair, not my leg. And I come
you might as well now, you can't just speed by that. Tell us now. So you jump out of airplanes.
Yeah.
And now you're one-legged. Tell us why.
Yeah. So I 2 years ago, I lost my leg to bone cancer. I'm lucky I had a really strong business partner who was able to kind of help me run the business during that time period, because it wouldn't have been able to happen. And I discovered I had bone cancer randomly. Jeez. It was like 40% of your femur is bone cancer. And I was like, wow. So I did an amputation 2 years ago, and crazy, like I was taking client calls on Zoom from my hospital bed with a morphine pump on. Wow. In the hospital. My client's like, where are you? Like, in the hospital. Like, why? Like, I had my leg cut off today. They're like, what are you doing working? I'm like, you need patients, so we have to deliver them. We still have a job to do. The mission's got to get completed, right? So yeah, I have one leg. I have a robotic leg.
How are things? I want to make sure we give the proper admiration to you for this and also support. How are things going now? Do you have any current treatment
Um,
for? You're just
no,
doing your
I'm getting checked every 60 days. Bone cancer is scary. It's I have osteosarcoma called OS, and in the amputee world, it's like they're like, oh, you have OS. That's scary. It's kind of heavy in our world. I'm doing good. Like I'm active. I have
right.
my days like anyone else. I mean, I'm not bulletproof. I have my days that I'm at my desk and I'm stressed out, and a dentist is being reasonable, and I'm like, I don't want to deal with this. Like, I want to go on my boat
Yeah.
or hang out with my friends or hang out with my kids. But all in all, I think I'm doing better than most people would. I actually enjoy the leg. If you've ever been in an event where I speak or you met me and hung out with me out in public, I'm a ton of fun. I'm a very high upbeat guy in an airport. If I'm traveling with my team, I act honestly like a jackass. I'm having fun. I'm there to smile. I talk to people. I went through an airport in Utah taking my team on a trip to Park City for it was for the team building, and I was counting how many people have fanny packs because I wanted a fanny pack. So I'm getting
Okay.
pushed. Sorry, my phone interrupted me. I'm getting
Okay.
pushed in a wheelchair, and I'm counting fanny packs. And I'm like, "You like your fanny pack?" And the girl's like, "Yeah, I love my fanny pack." My team's like, "They're all girls, Matt. You're not getting a fanny pack." I'm getting a fanny pack. So I'm kind of fun like that. But
I
yeah,
love that
I
attitude. I also want to share that your mindset, but also being authentic and sharing it. Everyone has their days. I just think that's an important
oh
thing
yeah,
for people to see because I have that, my days, and everybody has that. I think, I just like to take a moment and use it as a kind reminder for my audience of why you never know exactly what people are going through. So just being a pleasant person and nicer to people is
oh,
just a
it
really,
it
really
goes
good
way
way to live
further.
your life. Yeah.
Yeah, it goes way further. It goes way further. I'll tell you that positive energy breeds positive results. Nothing. That's the deal. Have you ever met anyone who's successful who's negative?
No, and also if you give people a chance, I deal with this on social media, and some of it's tough. But one time I messaged someone, "Hey, in order to submit this post, please fill out this form and the survey." And they go, "Oh, you're asking me to write you a good review just to do a post?" I said, "No, that's not it." And I kind of just backed off. I didn't say much. Comes back 3 hours later. You say, "You know what, Paul? I'm sorry I did that. I was going through a bad time. It was a bad day for me. I took it out on you." So sometimes it's just like if you just kind of respond in a neutralish way without,
Yeah.
attacking them, but reminding people to be kind. So back to the marketing,
Yeah.
but I just wanted to
Yes. So
catch our team up, catch our audience up about,
yeah.
the other unique part of Matt Brown.
So I going back to work. So I have secret shops with my clients before. Clients where I haven't coached them and they're struggling. I know the new patient experience sucks. So I went in a wheelchair to one client and they ended up becoming a very long-term multi-year client. They were on the border of canceling. The next day would have been their last day of service. I told the dentist, I was, you know what? You're like 3 hours away. He goes, yeah. I was like, I'm gonna come secret shop your practice tomorrow. He's like, really? And I showed up in a wheelchair. I used a different name and I went through the whole thing. And the new patient experience was bad. They couldn't even get me in my wheelchair into the op because the op was packed too much with stuff. It wasn't even ADA compliant. And I went through the whole thing and their case presentation was really rough. And I ended up coaching their case presenter, and she flourished into a great case
That's
presenter
awesome.
down the road. But it's funny, I came back to do in-person coaching. I had my leg on, and the whole staff's like, "You lied to us." And when they asked me how I lost my leg, I told them I lost it in a shark attack. I scuba dive a lot and swim with
That's
sharks.
great.
I have an affinity for sharks, and I told them I lost it in a shark attack. I have pictures on my phone of me swimming with like sand tiger sharks and stuff.
And what I
And
want to tag, we have so many amazing marketers as part of this group, and I love my team tagging, but especially want to tag. I don't know if you know Gary Bird, but you guys got to meet because you guys remind me of each other with your authentic stories. One of the things to just kind of highlight to my audience is you could have a great marketing team, but if you're not closing the cases,
no,
it's not working. And tell us a little bit more about that, whether you just want to use Dr.
yeah,
Andrews' role model.
I'll,
Your
I'll,
group brings in leads, but the office has to close these leads. And it sounds like you also do extra training to help them with that.
we invest a lot in the practice. So that's actually a really good point. So one thing we're different is I've invested a lot in my dental IQ. I spend a lot of time in dental practices, working alongside front desk people, learning their job. There's two parts to marketing. The most important 50% isn't us, it's actually the practice, right? When a dentist comes to us, we have an interview process and I talk to them and I ask them questions. And one question is, they'll say, I want to go from 100,000 to 200,000 in collections. I ask them about the sales building the practice, how many ops they have, and the human structure of how many people are there. The thing is, when you ask a marketer to double your collections, you have to understand what you're asking. You're asking to double the workload in the practice on the staff and the capacity of the practice, and is it there to do it, right? Does the human structure exist? And the human structure is everything from a good, strong greeting to how you're asking for case acceptance and how you're offering financing tools. A lot of times people will ask me, "Oh, our sale, we're awesome at sales." I'll say, "Well, let me put that in context for you. You've gone to an implant course now, You went to Costa Rica, you placed some, you came back. You placed 15, 20 single implants. You want to go towards snap indentures and full arch work. It's one thing to present, a crown a year using insurance benefits, which is not great. It's nothing to present a $3,000 treatment plan. It's nothing to present 4 $20,000 to $40,000 treatment plans in a day. That's emotionally exhausting because the numbers are large, they're intimidating, and you're navigating human making a big decision, and you're an integral part of that decision process. And when you get rejected, that creates emotional carry to the next patients throughout the day.
Yeah. So
right?
I have a team, and what you're pointing out is universal to my team watching when we talk about what we do. Doing things where you're going to get rejected and say people don't want to do what you're doing, it's not easy. Just understand it's not easy for me. I'm very afraid to jump out of an airplane, but I'm not afraid to walk into an operatory and tell someone that the investment in their teeth is $80,000 and they're going to love it. That's part of my super strength. It's only my super strength, Matt, because I've done it a lot of times. Yes, nobody's born this way. One thing I'll tell my audience is, you see Paul Goodman, Lincoln Harris, some of these people in value, Val, we did reps to get there, right? And that's what I want to inspire people to do. When I was a young dentist, I couldn't say it with that type of confidence, but now I can walk in and say, hey, Matt, it's $80,000 for you to totally replace your teeth, and you're totally going to love it. And I know it's totally a big investment, and I totally have patients who've done it and love it. Those things that come off of you with confidence help you. But back to what you're sharing is, when your marketer brings you leads and your team's not ready for it, it falls apart.
That's a problem. And as we ask these questions to make sure that you can handle the workload we're going to give you, because one thing that's true about us is we are going to give you the workload. We're going to put the people in your chair. The question is, can you handle it? And we invest a lot in that human structure. We do sales training. We create a case presentation tool that we give you. It's just a form. We teach you how to sell based off of monthly payments and off of treatment styles, and how to use your practice membership program. We're partnered with Clear, and Clear I had a meeting with recently. I want to make sure I did this right. I think it's the top 2 or top 3 practices in the country that are selling Clear with the fastest sales velocity are all Energize clients. And we teach you how to convert fee-for-service patients into practice dental home patients using the membership program, and how to create a good new patient experience.
Tell me this. I mean, we'll have some sequels to this, but it's important. I have regrets in life. One of my regrets was not starting a membership club sooner. It's my favorite thing. Whether you use Clear, Boom Cloud, a sponsor, dental stores, and you're welcome to share about Clear. That's not. But in terms of just now talking about membership clubs, why do you think every dentist should put a membership club in tomorrow? How has that transformed the lives of your clients?
I'll tell you a couple things. So let's start with some basic stats. Okay, average insurance patient visits a practice 1.7 times a year. Average fee-for-service patient visits a practice 0.5 times or 1 time every 2 years. A membership program patient is a fee-for-service patient converted. When that happens, the frequency goes up to 1.5 times because you remove the barrier of payment for hygiene. If hygiene drives production, okay, would you rather have insurance fee schedule or a membership program fee schedule coming out of hygiene? Membership program fee schedule, better margin, but also what no one thinks about is the human toll in the practice. For your staff, is it easier to navigate their own membership program they're familiar with, or insurance plans on the phone that are changing all the time with call centers across the country? For your quality of work.
I don't know if I have someone who answers the phone at the insurance companies and talks to your patient. Here they are right now. That's how it feels like. So, I mean, everybody talks about jobs, but there's really bad parts of jobs. So for dental assistants, I'll share with you, having to clean up after an implant is very difficult. There's 97 small parts and they have to put it all together. So Andrew waltzes out of the room, productors in the room, and says, that's a difficult part of the job. For your front desk team, calling dental insurance companies with conflict-based conversations is terrible. It costs you money, costs you morale, and oftentimes it's an exercise in the futility, might be a nice way to put it, because, watch this. I used to say to my office manager, oh, you want to chase down this claim that wasn't paid? It's $75. How long is it going to take you? 3 hours. Okay, so now I'd have to pay more than it would take to get the claim. And sometimes out of spite, I say, get it paid. Now we're totally out of network. We have a membership club model, and it's just improved our morale. So I think you're spot on with that human toll. I love that.
The human toll of the insurance companies is heavy, right? So going back to this, when you're dealing with insurance companies, we have to beat insurance culture in dental, and it's got to start on the front lines with the assistants and the front desk people. That's where we're going to beat insurance culture. That's where the war is going to be won against insurance culture in dental. It's a crime that you guys are getting paid the same amount now as 1940 for a cleaning. Makes no sense. right?
Yeah.
Well, when you deal with an insurance company, Paul, there's 3 loyalties. Okay. The first loyalty is the patient has loyalty to their own quality of care. You have loyalty to their quality of care. What does the insurance company have loyalty to? Themselves, right? Part of what happens is the front desk takes the path of least resistance of presenting based on insurance benefits per year and putting off the crowns. Well, if our job, there's 2 parts this I want to get to, and where this comes back to the membership program. If our job is to do what's best for the patient all the time, that's our mission, right? Is it better to get ahead of the dental problem or to pawn it off for 3 or 4 years to make it less path of least resistance? Well, the second one happens because that's easier for the staff to handle. That's a selfish decision. And that has to get highlighted. You're actually hurting the patient by embracing insurance culture. You need to say, we got to get everything done now. And we use financing tools for accessibility to get it all done now and get ahead of it. Let's not let an insurance company who doesn't care about you dictate your quality of care, right? And that's going to be one at the case presentation by the assistant, the front desk person, whoever presents. Now, going back over to the membership program, where that's critical is you actually get control of your care then. And you have control as a provider of the quality of care, and so does the patient. The other thing is the difference between insurance and the membership program. The first key difference is this. The insurance can be used lots of places. The membership program can only be used in your practice.
Right.
It creates retainability of your most valuable asset, which is your fee-for-service patient, where you have the most control of care. Now, what happens a lot of times is it gets mispresented. What happens is we actually overcharge the patient. I'm going to explain this. We offer the membership program for $4,000, and we say we have this discount. We offer a treatment plan for $4,000. Yeah. We say we have a membership program that's $299. Do you want it? And they say, no, that's $4,300. When in reality is this, your membership program, your treatment's $4,000. After the discount, it's $3,200. The membership program costs $300. So that's $3,500, right? The actual price should be $3,500. That's what you should be presenting, because that's how it impacts their pocket. I'll do an audit all the time with people, and they'll say, well, they didn't want it. I'm like, so they wanted to pay more to avoid it? Doesn't make any sense.
I mean, I want to share with you this. I mean, this conversation is exciting to me. And so I'm enthusiastic, but also patient. So we've gone from in-network with insurances, now we're out of network membership club patients. My vision in 5 years is that the only way that you can be a patient in our office is to be on the membership club. So if you walked in, Matt, and said, I don't want the membership club, I just want this one implant from this practice, my team will say, totally get where you're coming from. A lot of people say that the way it works here is everyone does the membership club. Because I don't know if you've heard of this company. It's called Costco. You cannot shop there without the membership.
Just
what
like
membership does, membership does is it makes people feel special, and people get it. Because even though it might sound nice for someone to say, I'll pay $5,000 for your implant, I don't want the 10% courtesy. At some point in my career, I'm not there yet, I would like to just create raving fans who do the membership and renew it every year. Because this year we're not one of the biggest offices for it, but we just got 40 renewals, and I love that. Right, 40 renewals in January for our membership club, 37 renewals in February, and they just continue to increase that, because when you can separate yourself from dealing with dental insurance, it makes everybody in the office happier.
It makes the entire workday better. I watch these poor girls at front desks bang their heads off the phones trying to get this done, and all they're trying to do is service the patient. And everyone's making it hard. Everyone's getting in their way, and they're getting frustrated. And that carries throughout the day, and it creates a toxic environment. Now, what's really interesting is what we actually market is we don't do buy one, get one free implants. We don't do get a free electric toothbrush. We don't do any of that crazy hokey offer stuff. All our ads have is this is the treatment you want, these are the benefits, and this is our implant discount program. And what we're actually marketing to fee-for-service patients is the membership program. All the patients we provide come in asking for it. They ask, what is the discount program? What is the membership program? They ask when they come in, and that prompts the chance to talk about it. The key, I would tell any practice, do not design your own membership program. The reason why I would say that is these other companies have gotten really good at it. When you design your own membership program, it turns into this. They design it from the wrong point of view and the wrong psychology. It turns into a fee schedule or an insurance document. That's not what it is. A membership program is better than that. Has to be designed from the psychology of you can make a buying decision very rapidly as you're leaving, and it can be explained by your staff simply as they're leaving. And the companies that become pros at membership programs, they have gotten very good at that. Clear has a very easy sign-up process that you can do it 2 minutes at the front desk. I would never design a membership program. I would go to one of the professionals.
Well, also
And
what happens is what people don't totally get, but they will when they get older, you only have so much bandwidth for so many things that you can troubleshoot, right?
That's it.
So in my office, I can troubleshoot implants, I can troubleshoot team management, but when you can outsource your annoyance, it's why I pay an insurance biller. So when I went to my front desk team member, she goes, "We don't need an insurance biller." I said, "Hey, we're going to try it." She says, "We don't need one. I can do it." I said, "Hey, we're going to try it during the pandemic." She came to me and said, "It's the best thing you've ever done for me." So I gladly pay 3% of my fees to not have to bill insurance, because I'm not trying to capture that, whatever that $17,000 or $15,000 of it is. I'm trying to make processing the other 97% easier. So you're really a spot on again there. As we wrap up, man, I want to talk a little bit about Energize. Andrew put a post out. You met a lot of Nacho dentists. You've done demos. You probably hadn't heard of dental nachos before.
No.
Before you tell us about marketing, tell us of what you thought about these dental nachos dentists you've been doing demos with. They do a demo with you. What you deal with a lot of dentists. What makes us a little Nacho ordinary in your mind?
Nacho is different. So, dentists, like you said earlier, aren't business oriented. They're like 90% dentist, 10% business owner, and they actually make a mistake of hiring an office manager to like compensate for that, which I think is a financial mistake. You should dive right into it. The nachos I've dealt with seem like they're more business and sales oriented. They're more extrovert. They tend to not hold that introvert scarcity mindset. They're very plentiful mindset. They don't hyper focus on the negative. They don't go, well, that no-show rate is 50%. Listen to the deal. Energize no-show rate is 50%. If I book 100 appointments for you, you're gonna get 50 new patients though. I have docs who literally call me about the no-show rate and not call me about the $60,000 more I made them that month. The nachos are not like that. They're not scarcity mindset. They're not negative minded. They're not introverts. They seem to be very outgoing people. I would guess the ones I dealt with have better chairside manner than most dentists. Chairside manner is everything. Honestly, one of my docs that places the most implants has the best chairside manner and clinically is not gifted. They don't find out your clinical ability until they get past your chairside manner. I just find that
also
the personalities are better.
The whole concept of being clinically gifted, it's only a dentist thing, right? Because they're good enough to help people chew and smile with confidence. So I love this. Like in Philadelphia, we have clinically gifted chefs that charge $75 for a meal. And we also have really good chefs that charge $30, and I can put the food in my mouth in both places and be happy.
Enjoy it.
So it's like the opposite of clinical gifting is not terrible. Yeah. So, but I totally understand what you're saying. There's a concept of getting better at being clinical. Why is, to you, trying to constantly get better clinically won't necessarily translate into better case acceptance?
It won't.
And I think dentists mess this up a lot.
I'm going to tell you two places where they mess up their mentality. First, I want to say this. Best cheesesteak in Philly is Jim's on South. So
Jim's is good. They had a fire recently, Sam.
I know they had a fire. I saw that in the news. I almost cried. Jim's.
If you come in April, Brandon Hill, he might be back on by now. He wrote a whole cheesesteak tour of the city. So there's ones that you don't even know about, but yes.
Jim's on South is the best. So anyway, we teach events around the country called Dinners with Dentists, and it's all about chairside manner, right? And about being patient focused, not clinically focused, right? Which I could do a whole hour on just that. And docs will spend $50,000. They spend a lot of money developing their clinical abilities. When was the last time you guys ever bought a CE course on chairside manner?
Yeah, it's crazy. I don't want it's nonsensical.
It's as nonsensical as not being into marketing or being anti-marketing. Like I think
it's the second step. Marketing's first, and then getting the patients to say yes
is number two.
Delivering third, and they skip over those first two parts.
They skip over it and say, "I'm just going to develop my hand speed and my knowledge and be awesome." Well, the deal is this: they never find out how awesome you are until they get past your personality. Right. That's it. Chairside manner is literally everything. We invest a lot there. And we can highlight, I can see it. I can look at data in dental practices and tell my team there's a chairside manner problem here. I can see how many people go in, what the average dollar value is coming out, and I can see how many they don't close. So there's a chairside manner problem. And if I secret shop it, it's real. It's a place where it has to be developed. And the other thing that happens that's really bizarre to me is no one ever role plays in dental practices. I mean, all we're sitting around. Why don't we grab a case that we didn't close this week, have someone pretend to be that patient who dealt with them, have someone be the assistant. Let's do everything from greeting to offering the comfort items to putting them in the chair.
You said something on our Nacho dentist. You said they ask good questions. So get your team member to ask you tough questions. Why is it so expensive? Why doesn't my insurance? I mean, one thing I can share for this video and maybe your clients. So we talked about why dental insurance is a problem, but you have to distill it down to a few sentences. This is it. When we role play, they say, why don't you take my dental insurance? Why is it better? I say, hey, Matt, dental insurance functions like a coupon, but we are trying to make the best decision for your teeth together. And dental insurance is trying to pay as little as possible. And this is the last sentence. Dental insurance and me are not on the same page about your chewing and smiling success. And then in 4 sentences, people get it. So that's what you have to do for everything you do in the office. If people ask about an immediate load, 4 sentences to deal with objections. Dentists think sometimes, I don't want to say vomiting, but throwing out more data or dentist talk gets people to move forward, and it just confuses them more.
So I travel the country and I close treatment live. I was in Texas for a month and I was averaging $100,000 a week when I was there closing. And I don't talk about technical dental stuff at all. And I was coaching a dentist in Texas, and he actually he looked at the CBCT and looked at the implant, and he started telling them how many millimeters wide the implant was and how many millimeters wide their bone was, and told them there isn't enough bone here. He actually did the math and said, we got to add more millimeters here. I said, Doc, come here. He said, what's up? I said, tell him your bone's it's a little bit thin here. We're going to slap some bone graft on there and move on.
Yeah.
He's like, oh, okay. It's like too technical, man. You have to get them to make a buying decision simply and easily, and talking about how you care about them. We use a line: speak to every patient as if your favorite grandmother.
I love that. And I'm going to ask you your thing in a second, but I want to say one more thing. So one of the people that inspired me, Dr. Mark Setter, I'd love if you guys tag Jill Bressler. Sadly, he passed away a few years ago. He changed my life. He's a periodontist who came to speak in Philadelphia, and he went and got heart surgery. And he talked about the different personality parts, and he drove race cars, and he's a periodontist. He said, my surgeon was so great because he walked in the room and said, Mark, what do you like to do? He goes, I like to spend time with my family and drive race cars. He goes, I'm going to make sure you keep doing that. And even though this was a dentist, and even though he probably would understand about this valve and that valve and this, that heart surgeon knew Mark was a regular person, afraid of his heart surgery, also wanted to be healthier. I mean, he lived after this heart surgery. That was the reason. And that changed my life forever, because I said, that's what we should be telling people. You want to eat at your granddaughter's recital? That's what I'm going to help you do. Right. Yeah. You want to smile? One guy, when he said, I want to eat a steak and drive a car when I'm 80, I go, I can help you with the steak part. Can't help you with the car part. So these emotional things are so key. I have only a few minutes. Tell us, we're going to drop how people work with you, but this has been an awesome interview. If someone wants to say, hey, I want to find out what Energize does, and I want to do one of those demos like the Nacho dentists have done, how can they do that?
A couple ways. So you can go to www.energize-group.com. You can go there, fill out a lead form, call the phone number, get a hold of us. 2 of us handle sales right now in the company, me and a guy named Keith Riggs. Keith's been in marketing for 15 years, honestly, longer than me. And the guy is a stud, and both of us can help you out. We'll do a demo. A lot of demos end up with me one-on-one. And then the way we usually do it is, after the demo process, when you onboard, we hand you off to a team. Our teams are limited by how many clients they can handle. So one team of 6 people handles 30 clients to maintain our customer service level. One thing about our company that's really interesting is I didn't want anyone to be able to call and have to press numbers to get a hold of people. We give you a phone number that you can text whenever you want, and that goes to all of our phones on a mobile app and our computers, so that way everyone on your team sees what's going on with your account and you have direct contact.
That's great.
But all you got to do is go fill out an app or fill out a lead form, or call us directly, and someone will set up with a demo, either me or Keith.
And you, just like we do, you basically do a no obligation, find out more, see if you guys can work together, right?
Yeah, and sometimes it doesn't work. Sometimes your practice is like,
but you always learn something. I'm doing this event in April. Hope you'll be here. We're gonna have 15 sponsors. Some are going to do accounting. Some are going to do marketing. Some are going to do chairs. And I say to the dentist, just go talk to these people. You're going to learn something, right? Go to talk to an accountant, even if you don't use them for their accounting services. Having a meaningful conversation with experts in the field, you just learn something new, right? So I encourage people to reach out to you guys to do that. We're an abundance-minded group. We have awesome marketing people. I hope you meet ones in our group. Thanks so much for sharing with us today. If you'd like to be on Talking Nachos, reach out to us at dentalnachos.com. Matt, you're an awesome guest with an awesome story. Thanks so much for sharing with us.
No problem. Thank you for having me.